Hey everyone, Lockie here. Today I wanted to dive into whether I think switching feet before a jibe or after a jibe is better and some of the reasons why I use one over the other. Continuing on with the jibing theme, I wanted to go into the pros and cons of both of these options. I'm going to go through frame by frame some examples of both options. So before we get started, I wanted to give a massive shout out to my mate Ross from Wingfoil Rentals. He's been great in sharing around my videos and just building the conversation around the different topics that I've been exploring. Go show him some love on his pages as well. He's Wingfoil Rentals on Facebook, Wingfoil Rentals on Instagram, and on YouTube as well, as you can see on the screen. He is currently set up in Boracay in the Philippines. It looks stunning over there, and he is becoming somewhat of a Lightwind specialist in wingfoiling. Go show him some love. Let's get on with some switching feet examples. So first up, I'm just going to show an example that might look familiar for those that have just seen my conventional jibe video. Essentially carving into the jibe without switching feet, just doing a nice easy jibe. Things that I would notice in this sort of situation when I haven't switched feet beforehand. I can be a little bit more intentional with the carve into the jibe, but for me, it's not as smooth on the exit. I find any time that I'm twisted with the wing, I just don't feel as comfortable riding. So that is one little reason that might sway me in the favor of switching beforehand. So we'll quickly have a look at an example of switching beforehand. Just noting that this is sort of a Heineken style, leading edge forward jibe, switching feet, carving through nice and confidently, and then the exit is really strong. Just to pay attention to that exit again, really getting on the back handle and ripping through the exit of the jibe. That is an example of switching before and switching after, or vice versa, switching after and then switching before. I put together a little pros and cons list that I'll pop up on the screen now. Basically, from my experience, switching before is really powerful in light winds, but it is a difficult maneuver for beginners. So from what I've seen with beginners, they tend to get really good at either turning left or turning right. So they'll be really good at rolling into a attack turning left because they're really comfortable carving left. You try and get them to roll into attack turning right and they'll crash everyone. And then the same for the jibe. I think what the root cause of that is how strong they are at riding twisted, so riding toe side. What I find is until you become really proficient at switching feet, switching before a maneuver is going to be really difficult for a beginner because it's going to lead to instability. Instability leads to slower speed, and as I've said in all my other videos about different maneuvers and things, speed is your absolute friend going into any sort of maneuver. Okay, so let's cover switching after. What I've said is it's great for learning the jibe, but it's slow on the exit. So slow on the exit, you can sort of tie that to how switching before is good for light wind. So because switching after is slow on the exit, it's not as great for light winds. In light winds, you don't have as much power available. You're not going to be able to build as much speed as when it's windy going into the maneuver. So when you exit, you're looking for power everywhere. You're looking for power in your wing, from pumping your wing. You're looking for power through your legs, through pumping the foil. So that's where switching after, you're exiting sort of toe side and you're trying to pump all twisted, and it's not as efficient from what I've found with my experience. Okay, cool. So that's the pros and cons either way. It's a little bit simple, but just trying to keep this one brief. So I just wanted to show a Lightwind example just to sort of prove what I'm talking about in terms of the switching before being really powerful for light winds. This is a video from the Mile Lakes up in New South Wales, and it was a really light wind day. So I was fortunate enough to be on the 7-meter strike CWC, absolute light wind weapon. 75 litre board, 105 mast, and a 690 Eagle foil. So quite a small foil, especially for these conditions. But you'll notice, because I've switched feet beforehand, so we wind back. So there we go, there's a little switch feet. And then as we roll through the jibe, as soon as I exit and get to sort of the slower part of the maneuver, I'm starting to pump the foil to the point where I'm getting really desperate and I'm starting to yaw the foil as well to try and get as much flow over it as possible. And there we go. That is the Lightwind example. Basically what this all boils down to, whether you should switch before or after, I think the easy answer is to obviously have all of them, but know when to use them. So I think from my experience, the progression that worked really well for me was you start by learning just the jibe and not worrying about switching feet at all. You'll probably have a favored stance when you're learning, but my best advice is to try and get to the point where you don't have a favored stance. You can go in both directions really comfortably. The thing that'll help you unlock not having a favored stance is learning to switch feet. So once you've gone through the process of learning the jibe, you've learnt the foot switch, I would then learn to practice switching your feet straight after the jibe so that you're still getting through your jibes comfortably, and you're only adding that instability of, you know, the unstable switching of feet that you might not be as proficient at yet. You're adding that to the exit of the jibe. So you can really go through the jibe, get power back on, and then take your time and pick a good wave or, you know, pick a good gust to really bring that wing overhead, switch feet, and then get going again. I've also, in my switching feet video, you'll notice there's some examples of different progressions for switching feet as well. So I'd go check that out if you're in that position where you're just about to learn the foot switch. And then once you've become sort of proficient at both switching feet and switching feet after the jibe, I would start switching feet before the jibe. And that's because you'll unlock lighter and lighter wind jibes, especially if you add this Heineken jibe, leading edge forward jibe into the mix. And I would start, and you'll be able to start exiting your jibes in breeze so much more powerfully. So you'll exit the jibe, you'll sort of carve the board under the wing, grab both handles while the wing's still a little bit underpowered, and then you'll carve into the breeze and feel the power come in on the wing, and it feels really cool. So pretty much the same as this jibe right here. Nice and powerful exit like that. And when you get it right, it feels awesome. Cool, so just a quick one for me today. If you are in the process of learning to switch feet, go check out my other videos on switching feet. And if you're in the process of learning any of the jibes, the Heineken jibe, leading edge forward jibe, the standard jibe, I've got videos on that as well, so go check them out. And as always, I'd like to wrap things up with a shout out to the legends at OTB Marine who support me with all my gear. I've just received a couple of foils and the new F1 hard handles and hybrid handles, so I'll be testing those out soon. Make sure you head over to OTB Marine on Instagram, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and follow them there because I'll be posting some insights into all of that new gear very soon. Thanks again to those legends. Thanks again to you guys for watching all my videos and for all the support, and I will catch you in the next one.